Hey everyone, welcome back to our channel. In our last video, we took the first step into Azure DevOps pipeline by importing the repository we'll be using throughout this series. We also created a service connection to securely link Azure DevOps with our cloud resources and tested our first pipeline using the classic UI. But if you are serious about automation and DevOps best practices, YAML pipeline are the way to go. In this video, I will guide you step by step to create your very first YAML pipeline without confusion, without frustration. We will set up everything from scratch, commit our YAML file, and see the magic happen. Let's get started. So first, let's open our Azure DevOps project and navigate to the Phoenix project that we created earlier. From there, go to the repo section where we can see the repository we'll be using for our pipeline. Next, head over to the pipeline tab and click a new pipeline. This will bring us to the screen where we can choose the source repository. Since our repository is hosted on Azure, select Azure Repos. Then choose the repository we imported earlier, which is the Smart App. Now it's time to configure the pipeline. We will start with the starter pipeline. So go ahead and click on that. And once it's open, the first thing we want to do is to clean it by removing unnecessary comment. Now let's clean up the pipeline and rename it to Smart App Pipeline. For the trigger, we will set it to none and the pull will remain in change. And instead of using step and script, we'll configure a job, specifically one job for build and publish. So let's give it a display name. The job will be build and publish, and display name will be also build and publish. Next, we want to add steps within this build and publish job. For the first step, let's use the show assistant and select .NET Core. So this will help you understand how we can actually make use of that to create our pipeline. So here we will select the .NET Core since our application is a .NET application. For the path to our project, we will use the ***.csproj, and for the argument, we will specify the -- configuration release. This means we are telling the pipeline to build the project in release mode, which optimizes the code for production. Then click, we will leave set timeout as is and advanced and just click add. Next, let's add the next task in this job. Again, we will select the .NET Core, but this time we will choose the restore command. The restore step should come before the build as it installed all the necessary package and dependency. The path will remain the same and we do not need to provide any extra argument. So don't forget to move the restore task above the build task. Okay, now that we have two tasks in our build and publish job, the next step is to create another task specifically for publishing our web project. For this task, we will select the publish command and set the argument to -- configuration release. And this tells the pipeline to publish the project using the release configuration, which is optimized for production. We'll also want to output the publish artifact to the build artifact staging directory. This is a predefined variable in Azure DevOps that specifies the directory where build output are stored before being published. By directing our outputs here, we ensure that our build artifacts are organized and easily accessible for later stage like deployment. Next, we will leave the zip publish project option checked, which allows us to package our publish output as a zip file. This can be useful for deploying the application or sharing it with others. After configuring this setting, click add to include this task in our pipeline. Now we have the third task publishing added to our build and publish job. We need to edit this task to include the project path, which should be the same path we use for other tasks. And this ensures that the pipeline knows exactly which project to publish, maintaining consistency across our tasks. Next, we want to give each of our tasks a descriptive name for better clarity. Let's add a display name to each task. For our latest task, which is for publishing, we will set the display name to .NET publish. With this done now, we can copy the display name and paste it into the build task. And we are going to change that to .NET build. We'll do the same for our restore task. Paste the display name and change it to .NET restore. This helps us easily identify the purpose of each task at a glance. Now we need to add another task that allows us to select the version of our .NET application. For this, we will use the use.NET task. We will give it a task display name of use.NET version 6. For the input, since this task requires an argument, we will set the version to 6.x. And this ensures that our pipeline uses the correct version of the .NET SDK when building and publishing the project. That should cover everything for our pipeline. Now we are ready to build and publish it. Now let's click Save and Run and add a commit message. In our case, we will use the message created Azure pipeline for a smart app. We want to commit this directly to the main branch. So after entering the message, click Save and Run. Our pipeline is now running. We can click on it to see the output of the running pipeline. As we check the logs, we can observe that the pipeline has initialized the job. Check out our smart app project and selected the appropriate version of .NET. It then runs through the restore stage, followed by the build stage, and finally the publish stage. And we can see that our pipeline has completed successfully, and that wraps up the pipeline run for this demo. Next, we want to add a trigger to our pipeline. So let's go back to our pipeline configuration and edit it. This will allow us to set up automated trigger for when we want the pipeline to run in response to certain event like change in the repository. Okay, once we are in our Azure Pipeline YAML configuration file, let's start by selecting the trigger and editing the pipeline. We will change the trigger to main, which ensures that whenever there is a merge or a push to the main branch, it will trigger the pipeline. And to be more specific, we can use the branch argument under the trigger and include our main branch. This way we can specify multiple branches if we want a more customized workflow in the future. So we specify main, and with that setup, let's commit the change to our repository. We can keep the commit comment as it is and click commit directly to the main branch. Now, if we navigate back to our pipeline, we can see the change that we have made. In the pipeline tab, you should see that our smart app is running, and clicking on it will show you the same workflow we observed when we first created and ran the pipeline. Okay, with that done, let's go back to our pipeline YAML and add an exclude parameter to our trigger. In this case, we want to specify a path that we want to exclude the file. In our case, a readme.md file. And the readme.md file typically contains information about the project, such as its purpose or how to use it and other relevant details. And by using the exclude attribute, we are telling Azure DevOps to ignore change made to this file when determining whether to trigger the pipeline. And this will prevent unnecessary build for documentation change that don't affect the application code. So now that we have our path added, we can commit this change, and we can leave the commit message as is and commit it directly to the main branch. Now let's Head back to the pipeline and you will see that it is currently running because we made a change directly to our pipeline configuration and merged that into the main branch. Okay, with our build completed, let's head back to our repository and test the exclude path we added in our Azure Pipeline YAML. In the repository, we see that we don't have a readme.md file, so let's create one and name it readme.md. Okay, click create, and here we will add a simple description to our file, and we can, for example, say that it's a basic app to test, and that make more sense. And once that's done, click commit, and then we will commit it directly to the main branch. After committing, let's go back to the pipeline section. You should see that there is no pipeline running. And this behavior confirmed that the exclude path we specify in our README file is working correctly. Thank you. And that's it. You just created your first Azure DevOps YAML pipeline. In the next video, we will learn how to publish build artifacts in Azure Pipeline, and we will also explore adding automated testing and deployment step. I hope this step-by-step guide helped you get started with YAML pipeline. If you found this useful, smash the like button and don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss the next video. Drop a comment below if you have any question and I will be happy to help. See you next time.